Hello and welcome to today's webinar looking at the Road Safety Week resources on Purple Mash, how you might want to use the ones that we've signposted you to, and also giving you an idea of how you can use some of the other tools and resources within Purple Mash to help you really focus on road safety awareness with your class. You should be able to find the link to the Road Safety Week resources from the homepage in Purple Mash. You might need to scroll down using the slider, and if you click on the road safety icon, then it will take you to our folder where we've got a variety of different resources for you to use with your class. As you can see, we've separated these into different areas. So we have some mash cams for you to use, some writing projects and paint projects. For example, the mash cams are always a firm favourite. It allows children to virtually dress up as a character and explore the feelings and emotions that that person might be having. So for example, if I was a school crossing patrol person, I could set this as a to-do for my children. But if I just demo what this looks like now, children can pop their face into the lollipop crossing patrol person by taking a selfie using the forward-facing camera, or they can upload a previously taken image by clicking on this icon here. So for example, if I try and find an image, I can place this child's face in the picture. Obviously, if you're using a tablet, then it's quite easy to manipulate using your fingers with the touch technology. Failing that though, you can use the zoom, rotate and resize options along the top. Then it allows children to be able to demonstrate some characteristics of this person in the role. So for example, I am keeping people safe, helping them to cross the road. If your children aren't at the stage yet where they can be typing long versions of text, they have the option as well to draw maybe their feelings or what it is they're doing. So that's a nice alternative and it will allow you to differentiate the task as well. And then finally, there's a really useful tool to help children actually talk in the role of the character. So if you've been doing some role play work or thinking about children speaking, in the role of someone else, maybe some hot seating work in class, then you can follow this up with using the record function, and it allows children to record up to 2 minutes of narrative. If children aren't happy with whatever it is they've recorded, once they've clicked stop, they can listen back to it and record over it should they wish. And then finally, these are really great as instant display resources. So feel free to click print, and then you've got a nice class display of all children dressed up either as a bus driver or as a school crossing patrol person. In addition to the mash cams available within the Road Safety Week resource area, we've also got our writing projects, which might help you engage children to further give examples of discussions you've had in class, ways to promote road safety at your school and local area. So all of these are linked to our pre-created to publish resources. So any of the activities that you wish to open, you can either set as to do as they currently are, or you're free to amend them to suit the level of challenge for your learners. So there's a brief introduction by a police officer explaining why the children need to create a leaflet. And here we have a ready-made resource giving children the option to add images and text, add clip art, and then we have some think about prompts as well to include to help children structure their writing if they're struggling to add work. Now with all our published resources, these are fully adaptable. You are automatically logged in as a teacher, but if you want to see how the children will receive a task, you can slide the little icon to the top where it says child view, and then you'll see how the children will actually see it. So they can shrink the boxes either side, they can click on the text or the image boxes and it will zoom in, and they can write their text accordingly. If you want to change any of the to publish resources and the setup, and you haven't done so before, then we really recommend having a look through the little thumbnail video tutorials that will just help you understand how you can edit pre-themed templates like this one, how you can add, remove and adapt the resources to make it the most relevant for your children's age and stage. So all of these, again, you can set them as they currently are, or you can make the changes within the actual documents and then share them as a to-do or via email and all the other sharing options with your children. Then further below, we've got a variety of different paint projects. For example, children can design a bus. Can you draw a bus? Where will it take you? They might want to have some bright images on it so the bus stands out so children can see it, especially these dark nights that we're now having at this time of the year now the clocks have gone back. They can also paint a picture of a lollipop lady, a lollipop man, or they can also draw a typical street scene. So they might want to start drawing some of the vehicles that they might see on a journey to school. In addition to the resources that you may find in the designated Road Safety Week folder area, you might also want to move past this and create some of your own creative resources. For example, using the paint projects but actually getting them to create maybe a high-vis jacket or a particular design that they could wear on their bag that would help maybe be a reflector so that cars could see them at night. So you can feel free to click through our tools and have a look in our art and design area. So children might want to have a look at the paint projects that we've got, and they could find, for example, some clothing templates. Oops, if I spell them properly. Clothing, and then they can maybe design a t-shirt that has reflective patterns on it. They could then annotate it maybe with the reasons why they've chosen certain colours, certain fabrics. So it just allows you to then, move beyond the resources that are already there should your children have a particular desire, or should you want to, extend some of their road safety awareness. If you're thinking about incorporating other areas of the curriculum into your road safety campaign at school, then you might want to have a look at some of our resources in the tools area. For example, in maths and data handling, you can use ToCount and ToGraph to help record any traffic surveys that you might have conducted around school. For example, in ToCount, if the class have been monitoring how many vehicles are passing your school in a certain time frame, they can use a simple pictogram mode, or if they wanted to start to reorder things for frequency, or if they wanted to show part whole models as well, then they can use advanced mode. If I just quickly demonstrate using the simple mode, it might be as simple as using the preset format with different coloured vehicles that we're recording. But if I want to make this bespoke to my class and my road traffic survey, then I can click on the little pencil icon and I can either take an image live with my device if it can capture images. Maybe I'm stood outside school with an iPad, I can just quickly capture the image straight away, or I can choose a file. So within my workspace, I've created a road safety folder. So if I just go into my road safety folder here, then I've got some images that I can add. So for example, I can add a van, and then I might just add a couple more just to demonstrate how quickly you can just pop different images into your pictogram. You'll have a picture of maybe a motorbike as well. And then as the children record these, they can click on the plus icon and count the different number of vehicles that they see as they're doing their road traffic survey. So really nice way of getting the children using technology to help them, really incorporate the road safety skills that they've been focusing on with you this year and recording it in a variety of different ways. For older learners, you might want to maybe look at using ToGraph. So maybe you've already conducted your road traffic survey. The children can write in the names of the different vehicles. For example, here we've got car, bus, van and bike, and obviously you can name as many as you like. You can change the colours for the data rows if you want to, but if, for example, we've seen 12 cars, 3 buses, 5 vans and 2 bikes, then children can choose to have the different graph formats to help record these. So you can have up to 4 graphs on the screen at any one point, and this will just allow children to help use that those mathematical skills that they've been learning as part of their math lessons, to see that maybe which graphs is going to help show them the information they need. Is it a case of they're looking at pie charts to see the whole number of vehicles and which one is the most and then they can make comparative statements based on the data that they've found. You might also want to add more than one set of data as well. If that's the case, then you can add an additional set. So it might be morning traffic versus afternoon traffic, and then you might want to actually compare the data, and then children can see how they can make the comparisons between morning and afternoon. And again, you can choose which graphs, charts that you might want to use this. Children can also change the chart title. They can also export the graph images if they want to include it in either a PowerPoint or a different presentation tool. Maybe they want to incorporate it into a different writing document to help write about the findings of their survey. That was just a quick whistle-stop tour as to how you might want to use it. If you're new to ToCount or ToGraph, just like with the ToPublish, have a look at the little video film reels, and they will really tell you in really helpful detail how you can use the software to get the most out of it. Another example of how you might want to incorporate not only computing skills but also some PSHE work, thinking about how to make good choices when crossing the road, or what's the safest route I can take to get to my destination, is by using our coding tool, the ToGo app. Now, if you followed the Purple Mash scheme of work for computing, you'll only really come across this in year 1. So you might not be familiar with this, but it's a really versatile tool that you can use all the way up to year 6 to help children think about location and positional directional learning, and how they can plot journeys, how they can plot routes, and they can incorporate some programming skills into it as well at the same time. So if I was to open up ToGo, there's a variety of ways in which I can use it. But today I'm going to show you how you can make your own. And in this instance, with Road Safety Week in mind, I'm going to make my own where the children are going to plot their journey from school to home. And they're going to think about, obviously if it's older children I'm doing this with, then they can start thinking about which route is best lit, which route has the street lights on at night to help me be seen. Or they could be thinking, which route allows me to cross the fewest roads to get to school. Now obviously, the easiest way of doing this is to take a screenshot of like a Google Earth aerial image of your school location, and children should hopefully be able to locate their road that they live in if they're within a short radius of your school. However, just for demonstration purposes today, I'm going to upload a cartoon image of a school. I've just saved it, so I can choose the file. I've saved it to that same road safety folder that I looked at earlier, and I called it School Map. So you can incorporate any image into ToGo. You can reposition, you can resize the image as well. And as you can see, this one here is quite a basic, cartoon aerial image. I'm going to imagine that this is the house that I want my pupils to navigate from, and this is a school that they're going to get to. So I'm going to make sure that both of those images can be seen on the screen just by repositioning it. Obviously, you do have additional drawing options should you want to overlay the image or cover up things with shading. So I'm happy with that location now. I'm going to press OK, and that's now been put in my basic ToGo coding window, my programming window. And I've got my little turtle on the screen that's currently preset to a bumblebee. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this turtle right by the house, because this is where the children are going to be making their movements from. And I'm going to change it from a bumblebee to something else. And to do this, I'm going to click on this small little pencil icon. This will allow me to choose one of the pre-made turtles. So I might want to have a car, for example. Here we go, I'm now a car. Alternatively, you can click Make My Own, and it will allow you to select some pre-made turtles, or the children can either draw, take a selfie, or upload an image that can represent their turtle around the screen. I'm just going to use this aerial image of a child so that when they're walking they can see themselves move around. Now, ToGo starts off with the most simplistic form of programming. So at the moment you can see that we can only move up, down, left and right, and the grid size is quite large. Obviously this is really well suited to Key Stage 1 children, but I'm going to imagine that I'm working with Key Stage 2 children and I'm going to make it a little bit more complex. So to do that, I can click on the little cog icon at the top of the screen, and you can see now that I can have some different options. I can either just use the up, down, left, right, or I can use up, down, left, right with numbered steps. I can have diagonal turns as well, and then numbered steps. Or if I want to think about rotational turns and moves forward and backwards, a bit like a bebot, then I can choose the 90 degrees option, and then they move just forwards and backwards after turning on the spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine it's a bit like a road. I'm only going to go up, down, left, right, and then have numerical steps. So if I press OK, that will update the programming element. But in order for me to make my grid a little bit more challenging, I'm going to go back to that settings area, and this time I'm going to click on the General tab. Now the General tab at the moment has the grid as quite large steps, so I'm going to shrink that maybe about halfway, press OK, and you'll see how this updates it. You'll notice that the grids are a lot smaller. Again, should you want to make it even more smaller steps, then you can make it as small as you like that. I think I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. There we go. So now that it's ready, this is where my children are going to be. They're going to be at their front door and they need to navigate to the school. Now obviously, depending on the challenge that you set for your children, it might be get to school with the fewest steps, get to school by crossing the least amount of roads, and so on. Whichever reason you want your children to complete it, in order to give this to the children with all of the options that you've created, you need to share this work with your children. Now, by sharing any task on Purple Mash, it will prompt you to save the work, because obviously we've made a lot of changes from the default option. So if I click share, it will come up with a save file, and I'm going to save this within my road safety Purple Mash folder, and I'm going to call this ToGo. Once I click save, it will then allow me to share via a variety of different methods. I can either share it with my children via a QR code or a web link or an embed code. I can also, now that it's been saved, I can share it as a to-do, as an email attachment, I can blog about it, and I can even add it onto a display board as well. If using ToGo is something that you're interested in and you want to have a play around, by all means please do. The make my own option is brilliant, and plus children can also make their own version. So if they're quite competent ToGo users, encourage them to maybe draw a map of their local area or upload an image like I've done, and then they could set it for a classmate to complete a journey. So lots of potential there, and I'm sure you can imagine that children really do value this particular activity. Just one thing I've noticed, the programming hadn't updated, so if I show you now, if I was going to play that, I can show that I want him to go down 1 space, go to the left 2 spaces up to the main road, and then go up a couple more. So this is where you'll see as well, it leaves a trail and shows the journey. So if a child was to complete this as a to-do, you would very easily be able to quickly see the route that the child had taken as well. So I hope you found that useful, and as always, that old faithful video tutorial in the top corner will help give you ideas and further guidance should you need it. So hopefully the things that we've gone through today have just given you a flavour of what you can do on Purple Mash to help just reinforce the learning that you've been doing in class on road safety for this year's Road Safety Week campaign. Obviously we've got this bank of ready-made resources. Feel free to adapt it to meet the level of needs of your children. Plus, also feel free to explore a variety of different tools within Purple Mash. Lots of different ways in which you might want to use it. Hope you found this webinar useful. Happy Purple Mashing and enjoy Road Safety Week with your children.